I'm Daniel, the past life regressionist, and it's time to begin.
Lift off and the clock has started.
This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy each and every time. Hey everyone, welcome back to Timeless Spirituality. It is time for a new episode. And for this one, this was recorded, I believe, back in the fall of 2023 when I started asking the question about the difference between belief and faith. And today's guest, Rachael, was such an amazing guest, and just the way that she spent the whole episode talking this out with me. And I thought it was so great, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. And Rachael, thank you for your patience in releasing the episode. I know it took me a while, and it was part of the journey for me to understand the difference between belief and faith. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And also go check out the Expanse method, my new method of past life regression. You guys have heard a little bit about it. You're going to hear more about it in the coming weeks. It's something. It's something special. It's something deep. And it really is a journey into the dark, because it is my belief that the only way to get to the light is first you have to go through the dark. So as a thank you to everyone on Timeless Spirituality, I want to offer you guys 10% off. So just go ahead and use the code EXPANSE through my website. And thank you. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you for showing up weekly again now that I'm releasing episodes weekly. So with all that said, if you would like to book a regression with me to discover who, when, and where you have been throughout time, you can reach me on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist or through my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. And now it's time to begin. Rachael, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm a little tired. You know, that full moon last night had me up for a while, but I'm ready.
Just for reference for everyone, we are recording this on November 28th, 2023. So I believe that was the full moon in Gemini, correct?
Yep, the beaver moon.
And I also see that I mixed up my intro there a bit, which is cool because I can do things a little different. Hopefully it doesn't throw me off too much because I'm also a creature of habit, but that's neither here nor there right now. Okay. Anyways, and I'm always a goober at the beginning. I got to work on that too. Maybe that should be my New Year's resolution. Anyways.
No, we love the gooberness.
Aw. Well, I'm glad someone may find it endearing. Because anytime I listen to this, I'm like, oh God, D, not again. Okay. Redemption time. Are you ready for the first question?
Yes, I am.
What is your favorite song about time and why?
My favorite song about time is a song by Rosie Galan, and it's titled Can't Go Back. And that song, it's a lamentation. It's hauntingly beautiful and melancholic, and it has helped me move through hard times and heartache. And it's a reminder to stay in the present moment and to cherish what you have, because as much as you might regret things that have happened in your life, you can't go back. You can only move forward.
I think that's beautiful. What was the name of the song again?
Can't Go Back by Rosie Galan.
As I'm sure you noticed, I put my hands down because I've never heard of the song before, so I'm not even going to venture to guess when it came out.
I have the lyrics here, and I can read them real quick. It's not much. Sure. Some things you can't go back to. Some things need left alone. Don't mess with memories of a life passed on. Oh, the tumbling reservations at the heart of my mistakes. Oh, some things you can't go back to, 'cause you let them slip away. I don't want to be a witness to a path that's overgrown. I don't want to see this house not be a home, 'cause time has taken toll on what we couldn't see. No, I don't want to be a witness to the end of you and me. How am I going to make each moment better than the last? How am I going to make it better if I can't go back?
I mean, if she wrote that or whoever the lyricist was, brilliant. They are, I think they're a poet. Beautiful lyrics. The rhyme scheme was great. It was so good because it was so unconventional. I love that.
Yeah, you got to give it a listen because yeah, it's a really beautiful song.
Well, thank you for that one. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, that was just the rhymes. It wasn't perfect. That's what makes it so perfect. Okay. Inspiration. Are you ready for the next question?
Yes, sir.
What do you believe in?
Belief. It's kind of a dangerous word, because your beliefs shape so much of who you are. So you got to be careful with what you believe in. You can get in trouble for your beliefs, or your beliefs can set you free. And I mean, when it comes down to what I believe in, I believe that there are forces at work in our everyday lives that are imperceptible to our senses and not quantifiable by our current scientific methods. I believe you should always have an open mind. Just because we can't prove it yet doesn't mean it isn't real. So many people want to discount astrology and lunar cycles affecting our mundane lives because there's no hard science. I'm using air quotes here. But we all know the effects that the moon has on water. I mean, it pulls on 326 million trillion gallons with tides. And humans ourselves, we're 60% water. We just had a Gemini full moon last night, and the tides here yesterday were incredibly high. I live on an island, and we had crazy high tides. You want to tell me that the moon doesn't affect us? Like, come on. I mean, neutrinos are constantly passing through our bodies, 100 trillion of them every second at the speed of light. We know things, but we can't explain why. We experience deja vu. I visited places in my dreams that exist in reality, but I've never been to, that I didn't even know existed until after I dreamed them. Dreaming is how we process our lived experience from the day. And sometimes my dreams are about my life, but other times I feel like I'm inside of someone else's, trying to perceive it through my own lens. And that's why it doesn't always feel cohesive or make sense. It's sort of like a puzzle. I'll see something in a dream that might resemble, something from my lived reality. So my brain superimposes my experiences over it, but it's not the same. I'm trying to filter someone else's life through the lens of my own. It doesn't quite fit. In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Dumbledore says that in dreams, we enter a world that is entirely our own. But I don't believe that's, explicitly true. Maybe this overlap happens when my lived experience resonates with someone else's and they entangle in the dream world. Kind of like that movie Inception, where people, have shared dreaming experiences. But I think that people can share dreams, and I believe that many of us are cosmically connected.
Damn, that was a rabbit hole you just took me down. So just to swing it full circle, because I think you mentioned at the beginning, you don't need to see it to believe it.
No, I mean, if there's a resonance there, if there is a feeling in my body, we can't always, depend on logic. We're taught from a young age to sort of bypass our own knowing, our own authority. and just sort of to give that over to logic. But I believe that if there's a resonance, if there is a knowing in your body, you have to follow that. The mind is a tricky thing, and it can't always be trusted. And we need to be able to trust ourselves and our bodies.
I agree. I can't help but think about the premise or concept or quote. Are you going to believe what I'm saying, or are you going to believe what you're seeing? Because even just a few years ago, I feel like I could believe what I was seeing. But it even seems like now, in the way that the world is going, in the direction that we're heading in, I don't know if you can always believe what you're seeing. I want to believe that that's the case, but I just don't think it is anymore. Maybe it never was. But it puts a whole new spin on belief and knowing. Because if you saw it, it used to be it was a knowing. But now, I'm not so sure.
And there's always another perspective to see it from.
Mm-hmm. So there's one other component of this I want to ask about, because you brought up the word knowing. And something I've been exploring for a while was the difference between believing and knowing. And something new that I've been exploring is the difference between faith and belief. What do you feel that difference is?
I think the difference between believing and knowing, I feel like knowing has more of a depth to it, like a lived experience. You can believe something, but knowing implies knowing has much more depth to it. Knowing is having tested that belief and to have, come out on the other side knowing that it's true. Beliefs can always be challenged, but a knowing is going to be much harder to discredit. It's hard to discredit someone's experiences when they've, lived through something versus, having a belief.
And how about the difference between belief and faith? What do you see the difference as?
Belief and faith. See, that one's that one's hard for me, because I have, I have my grandmother's voice in my ear. She was a Catholic, and she always encouraged me to have faith in things. And when it comes down, I mean, with belief, so much of belief and faith are, centered around religion, and I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. The way that she the way that she sort of, sold God to me. I know that's not the best way to put it, but it didn't track for me. And yeah, her version did not hold up to something that I could believe in, that I could have faith in. Faith is more of a mindset, I guess, so to speak. There's a certain amount of hope that's tied into that. Whereas with belief, I don't know, this is tripping me up. What are you doing to me here? Because, yeah, I'm seeing this as steps. Knowing is very grounded in having had an experience, having proved your beliefs. So we have this knowing that's very deep rooted. And then we have beliefs sort of a step up from that, not quite as grounded. It's this is messing me up.
Oh, this is great. You're doing a great job right now.
Oh my word. Yeah, it's kind of like it's steps. Belief is sort of that second step up in, you know, an awareness versus having faith. I think that's just really, faith is stretching out. Faith is hopeful. Faith is, you know, something to believe in versus our beliefs. Does that make sense? For me, faith is very much tied to hope, and hope is a tricky thing for me, because if I get too hopeful about something, you know, usually that's when the universe sort of pulls a fast one on me. So yeah, with the difference between belief and faith, I can trust my beliefs for the most part. They can be changed because, you know, I like to keep an open mind. But faith can be tricky.
Something you brought up early on, it hit me hard with regards to your grandmother telling you to have faith, right? Was that the way you phrased it?
Yeah, she always told me to say my prayers at night, and, you know, I said my prayers, but, you know, I said my prayers, but I didn't feel, you know, any sort of connection or resonance. You know, I was just a kid. I couldn't understand these sorts of things. But yeah, she told me to have faith. But you know, when you when you go through life, you know, I had some hard things to deal with as a child, and she was very well intentioned telling me to have faith, but she was encouraging me to have faith in something outside of myself, to externalize my faith. But what I know now, having gone through the experiences that I've gone through, is that faith is a very personal thing, and it should not be externalized. I have faith in myself. I think that's where the power really comes from, and where belief and faith really coincide. It's very old paradigm, sort of, you know, externalizing faith into something beyond yourself. I have faith in myself, but at the same time, I believe that the universe has my back. That even though the universe might bring hard things my way, I believe that the universe has my best, it has the best intentions for.
We have a little minor technical difficulty here.
Oh.
Hey there.
Okay.
I know I started to freak out a little bit once you cut because you were on a roll. But
oh no,
it's okay. I think we'll pick up there with this. So when you were talking about your grandmother and faith, you brought up the word Catholic. And what that made me think of was why I had been apprehensive to explore the meaning of faith, because I associated it with religion for some reason. And I don't know if religion really claimed it as their own or has a monopoly on the word, but that was my apprehension. And while you were talking, I thought about faith in the context of atheism. And how would it be possible for someone who's an atheist to have faith? And the circumstance that I thought of an action movie where you got your action hero who has to go defuse the bomb. And it's, do we cut the red wire or the green wire? And then you got the sidekick saying, no, it's not that one. It's not that one. You know, you're going to kill us all if you do that one. Can't do that one. Can't do that one. He's like, and the action hero says, no, it's the red wire. The guy's like, the other one, it's the green wire. It's the green wire. It's the green wire. And then the action hero says, I have faith that if I cut the red wire right now, that everything is going to be fine. And then he cuts the red wire and they blow up into 1,000. I'm just kidding. He cuts the red wire and everything is fine. I don't know where I was necessarily going with that, but I guess my question for you, in a scenario like that, and no right or wrong answer, this is totally a fictional opinion-based response. What is it that the action hero had faith in?
He had faith in himself.
Tell me more about that.
So with my grandmother, her telling me to have faith, that was encouraging me to put my faith in something outside of myself. And that's, I mean, maybe that's why it didn't really track for me, but no, I think, you know, religion very much wants you to put faith in something outside of yourself, whereas that doesn't sit well for me. Like, having gone through the experiences that I've gone through, you don't have the power externalizing that faith into something else, into, you know, this benevolent God. You know, the way that I believe in God, universe, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it. I believe that the universe always has my back, and I have faith in myself to get through whatever situations that the universe presents me with. So that action hero, he had faith in himself, and he may very well have blown up. Maybe it was his time to go. Maybe he had lived out his karma in this incarnation and he was ready for his next life so that he could meet you and come back and see that he was an action hero in a previous one.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode. But you bring up a really interesting point, though, about faith in self, because I think that really is an indication that faith doesn't need to be a scary word. I mean, at least that's what I was scared of, was because of the association I had with religion with regards to the word faith. Do you think if people had more of an understanding of language, that maybe the associations would be stripped away and we could just get to the root of what a word means? Because I personally have not looked in the dictionary to see what faith means. Well, at least I haven't recently. So therefore, I don't remember what it says. So I don't even know if the word religion shows up in the definition for faith.
Yeah, no, I have no idea what the actual definition of faith is, or, you know, how the definitions differ between belief and faith. So I can't really, you know, speak to that as far as, you know, if people had understood language a little bit better. But for me, I think it comes down to, you know, the fear that was instilled in people. If you don't have faith, then bad things are going to happen to you. And this idea of this vengeful God never sat right with me. Yes, there are horrible things that are happening in our world right now. Systems are breaking down, and it's bloody, and it's terrible, and it's atrocious. But for me, I gotta have faith in humanity because I'm human. If I have faith in myself, I gotta have faith in other people too. Otherwise, what's the point?
So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it. Many different alternatives aside from religion for what faith can mean.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. So this is kind of taking a different direction than we originally intended. So with that, I mean, I'm loving the way that you're approaching this right now. Is it okay if I ask you another question that I think will be more up your alley with faith and belief?
Sure.
So before we hit record today, we were talking about a human design. It was a course that you took, right, recently?
Yeah.
And how there is more of a scientific component that's being introduced or incorporated into human design, or at least a scientific measure.
Well, this person had a background in science. Her father is a doctor, so she grew up with a very scientific background, and so she had made connections in the human design system with biology and a component of human design called cognition, which is like our super sense. And so that's what this course was about, the biology of our awareness centers in human design.
So at this point that we're at today, get on November 28th, 2023, where it stands now, science can't measure human design or astrology or faith-based belief systems. My question for you, where do you see faith and belief playing out with regards to your view of the system of human design?
Well, as far as the founder of human design, Ra Uru, he has said on many occasions with the recordings that we have of him, since he has since passed on. I can't quote him exactly, but he has basically said, don't just believe what I'm telling you. Go out and experiment with it yourself. It's not necessarily telling you to take all of this at face value. It's human design. Beauty of it, the gift of it is that it's an experiment. Don't just take my word for it. Take this system, try implementing areas of it into your life and see what happens. Find out what's true for you. And I guess that's another component of faith and belief is truth, because we all have our own individual beliefs and we all have our own individual truths, and no one can define your truth except for yourself. It's a system that does not ask you to blindly take everything at face value, but to experiment with it and find out what is true for you.
How would your grandmother feel about that?
Well, my grandmother, she had Catholic beliefs, but she'd had a divorce. So she was not necessarily okay in the eyes of the Catholic Church. Luckily, when she passed, my mother and my aunt found a priest who would accommodate her. But even though my grandmother had Catholic beliefs, she was also a very salty woman. And there were a lot of people who thought she was crazy, and she kind of was. But I know that she loved me. She was very supportive of me. And I believe she would have been totally fine with me having my own beliefs. Now, her forgiving me for putting tap water in her holy water vial, I don't think she's forgiven me for that quite yet, but think she's okay with me forming my own beliefs.
I think that's pretty cool. Are you ready for the most difficult question that I would ask you today?
Oh, you make that sound so scary, but yes.
It's a question I usually ask a bit earlier in the show, but this was too good to not dive into. Who is Rachael?
Well, since we've been talking about astrology and human design, in Western astrology, I am a Pisces sun, Cancer moon, Virgo rising. And in human design, I am a 2-4 manifesting generator with emotional authority. So with that Pisces sun and Virgo rising being opposing, I sometimes feel like I'm two completely different people. Having that Virgo rising first house identity, it's so easy for me to get into that. I am very practical. I am very can do. I'm pretty good at solving problems and, embodying more of that sort of masculine feminine is easy for me. But my Pisces sun, like being in the 7th house, I can't always see that in myself as much, but I do have, this spiritual side to me that very much wants to, dive into those depths. I'm very watery, and getting more into that Pisces energy is something that I need to work on, but it's something that I have always been called to. I can definitely be delusional. I can definitely, go off into a fantasy world, and actually that has helped me during hard times in my life, being a bit delusional. I love using my creativity, and I know I can come off as confusing to some people with, all the different interests that I have. But who is Rachael? Rachael is just another human being trying to make my own way through this thing called life. And, years ago, I would have said that I'm just trying to figure it out, but I'm done trying to figure it out. I can't figure it out. What? I'm just going along for the ride at this point and, seeing where my life takes me. I'm very watery. I have emotional authority in human design. I'm letting my emotions guide me and seeing what lights me up along the way.
You did well with the hardest question that I asked you. Are you ready for the new game?
What, the new game? Are you throwing me a curveball?
This is a new game I'm playing on Time with Spirituality.
Oh, no.
It's called the How Have You Grown In game. So in this baggie right here, I have 4 different times. And I'm going to select it at random. As you see, I'm going to stick my hand in and swirl it around and close my eyes. You see it because I like to maintain the integrity of the game. And I'm going to pull my hand out just so you see that I wasn't picking up one or, bending it or anything. Or you see this right now.
I am verifying this.
Hand out again. Hand out again.
Yes.
I'm shaking it like I'm in the roaring 20s right now with the jazz hands.
Making sure you don't have some sleight of hand going on there. Uh-huh.
Last jazz hand.
Okay.
Oh, I missed the back. Okay. So, Rachael, how have you grown in the last week?
Oh, no. Okay. Well, the last week has been a little bit rough. Wait, what? Today's Tuesday. So 5 days ago, it was Thanksgiving morning, and I went to take the dog outside, and my cat followed me outside. Cat that I've had for 10 years, absolute love of my life. And she was struck by a car right in front of me. And distracted driver, they didn't even stop. It was heartbreaking. I felt that something like this was going to happen. You know, she was an amazing cat, but she was very independent. She was very adventurous, you know, go walking down to the ocean and she would follow the dog and I down there. She was so brave. And she, you know, she was getting older. She was 10 years old. You know, she was slowing down a little bit. And I love that cat so much. And, you know, I would say, you know, you're going to do something stupid and you're going to break my heart. And she did. And it was shocking, but she passed quickly. And I was there. She wasn't alone. I watched it happen. So it gave me that much more closure. You know, thankfully, we stayed home for Thanksgiving. We didn't go somewhere. So, you know, didn't have a whole bunch of people around me. You know, it was just my husband and I at home. And so, you know, we were able to, you know, do our thing and grieve and feel our feelings. And that made it so much easier to, you know, go through the grieving process and to sort of get to the other side of that. Because I've had losses in my life where I haven't been able to feel my feelings and grieve properly, and it has manifested into physical sickness. And so when this happened, I, you know, just granted myself, you know, full pardon, just get everything out there that you need to get out. Like, no one's watching you, you know, just whatever needs to come out of you, come out. And I was really surprised by how quickly I came back down to a feeling of baseline and normalcy. You know, I'd have, you know, little moments where I was expecting to hear her, you know, pitter patter down the stairs, or, you know, just the random everyday things. You know, the the bed was a lot colder without her keeping my feet warm. No, in the past week, I've learned a lot about my emotional authority, because emotions are a big part of my life. And so, yeah, I've got a little bit more wisdom around that, which, you know, I think another component of that grieving process was the fact that I had gratitude for her. What I was sort of feeling like, you know, something like this might happen a couple of months ago, I made sure that I told her how much I loved her every single day. And yeah, I think having gratitude is such an important part of the grieving process. That, yeah, it hurts that they're gone and you're going to miss them, but damn, weren't you lucky to have had them in your life? Aren't you so grateful for the experiences they gave you? And it sucks that it happened, but it's very cliche to say that everything happens for a reason. I think everything happens in its own time, I suppose. And I think it was her time. And instead of, you know, being angry at whoever it was that hit her, I couldn't go there. I just had to turn around and be like, wow, I am so grateful that I got to share so many wonderful memories with this animal and that she was in my life.
I've got nothing.
Okay.
I mean, what more could I say? because I think you nailed it, just with regards to approaching it in a new way. You know, this sudden, unexpected, shocking thing that happened and horrific, and letting yourself feel what you feel. So I think that's great. You know, for as horrible as it was, I think that you did the best that you could. So, I mean, I'm really sorry for your loss, because even when you told me the story earlier, I felt for you. But, you know, you added that extra layer on right now, which is the gratitude component. And yeah, it makes me think about my own fear of loss. And I think, yeah, you made me see things differently with just how grateful you were to have, you know, your little cat for 10 years. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So on that happy, somber note, where can everyone reach you?
I am on Instagram. My personal page is Rachael, Rachael, _Earl, EARL. And if you want to check out my human design page, there is a link in my bio for that. But I have that set to private. But, you know, if you just send me a little message like Timeless Spirituality sent me here, then, you know, I'll let you in.
Thank you so much for your time today and for being here. And just thank you for that great conversation with faith and belief. And you gave me a lot to think about today. So thank you so much for coming on, Rachael.
Well, thank you for having me and inviting me. It's been a good time.
My pleasure. And as always, I finished the episode by saying, yay! Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a session with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.